I'm Pascal Canfin from France, and I'm the chair of the Environment Committee of the European Parliament. Okay, so the Green Deal is a European strategy for climate change, not only for climate change, it's also, for instance, to protect nature and biodiversity. But if we focus on the climate angle, it's a set of laws that will change the rules in order to deliver a carbon neutral economy at the latest in 2050. It means that we are changing the rules to change in one generation from where we are now to being climate neutral. It's massive, it's very ambitious, and it's unprecedented, and we are very proud to do it. Okay, so first, we consider as Renew that it is our interest to go climate neutral, to have more renewables, to have more energy efficiency and less fossil fuels. And the Russian case today is a very good example of how bad it is to be dependent on countries like Russia for our energy. So it's our interest to switch. But of course, we need to make sure that it's a switch which is more or less a level playing field for our industries. That's why we were strong supporter of the carbon border adjustment mechanism that allow to have a high carbon price for our industry, but at the same time, making sure that this carbon price is paid as well by importers. Otherwise, it's completely counterproductive to have this constraint for us, which wouldn't be the same rule for the ones importing to the EU. So that's why last year, when we reform the carbon market, and we have a 100 euros per ton of CO2 price, which is by far the highest price in the world, at the same time, the very same day, we introduced a carbon border adjustment mechanism to make sure there is a level playing field. So it's a real challenge. I mean, one of the key elements of the green transition is to substitute oil and gas and coal by electrons that are decarbonized, coming from renewables or coming from nuclear for countries willing to do so. It's massive. That's why we need to add up all the solutions and not to choose within these solutions, because otherwise we will never make it. So that's why in Renew, we are pushing for everything that will help us to find the solutions to be able to match this challenge. It's a real one. I mean, it would be absurd to not to deny it. I would say it would be absurd to deny it. But we think that we have the possibility to do it with three key elements. First, all innovations related to energy efficiency. Second, all innovations and massive speeding up on renewables. And again, for those countries willing to do so, nuclear. Adding all of that means that we are able to match this challenge. Well, it depends on how excited your life is today, of course. But I mean, the green transition means a bit of less for something and a bit of more for others. And it's true. I mean, traveling all over the world every year might be incompatible with climate neutrality. But what we try to make sure is that at the end of the day, we are able to deliver a zero emissions flight, as we deliver on zero emission cars and zero emission trucks and zero emission buses and so on. So the core of the strategy pushed by Renew is based on innovation and technology in order to deliver zero emission goods and way of life. Then at the end, you could, on top of this, have a personal, it's not a political one, but a personal choice to say, on top of the technological change we are organizing, you could decide on a purely personal basis to go for less meat and more plant-based, to go for less cars and fly and planes and more for trains. It's your personal choice. But what we have to make sure as a political group is that the technologies are there to be able to reconcile, I would say, the economy, the development, growth, prosperity, and so on, and the climate transition, which is deeply, deeply needed. Yeah, so this question is obviously key because as Renew, we have our DNA, the just transition. We want to deliver on the transition. I mean, we cannot afford to have a 5 degrees of global warming world. That will be just a nightmare. And we start having the first concrete consequences of uncontrolled climate change today, and we can see how it looks like. But we want to transition in a just way. So that's why we are working a lot to green the financial system, to make sure that there are green loans, there are green credit in order to make things available for households and companies. But at the same time, for the most vulnerable part of our societies, we are building innovative tools to make sure that you have access to solutions. The key element now for us is make solutions accessible. There are the solutions. I mean, we have solar panels, we have electric cars, there are so many available technologies today. The point is, of course, to keep on innovating, but also, and maybe mainly, to make these solutions available through new innovative financial tools. That's the heart of our battle, and you can count on Renew to deliver on this. Well, you know, the Green Deal, I'm afraid, will not be finished next year. The whole Green Deal, if I take not only the climate angle, but also pollution, biodiversity, and so on, it's more than 55 legal texts that we are changing, and it's a massive process. And we will have to continue after the elections. Why? Because, as I said at the beginning, it's a generation challenge. We are in the most rapid industrial revolution never encountered. Why? Because the previous ones took, 5 decades, almost 1 century, from wood and then coal and then oil. What we are now in is an equivalence of this to get climate neutrality, but in 1 generation. So I can tell you that the work will not be finished in 12 months. It's just the start, and we will be, as Renew, of course, very active next term, of course, based on the trust of citizens and their votes, to keep on moving on this probably most important challenge of our time. What I do myself, well, for instance, I take a train as much as possible. I fly less, to be honest, because now, as we speak, the alternative to kerosene are not there. So taking a flight today is emitting CO2. Maybe in 10 years' time it will be different, but today it's not the case. And I eat less meat because when you look at all the data, all the studies, all the analysis, consuming meat emits more than a plant-based food. So doing the 3, trains plus less flight plus more plant-based, reduce massively your personal CO2 emissions. So without, to be honest, having a boring life, as you asked before. I don't consider my life is boring, but I try to emit much less.